Hey, good morning to those of you out there on the West Coast. Good afternoon to those of you here on the East Coast with me. We're going to have a lot of fun today in training on FPDS. I call it fun because I'm a big fan of information. Let me go ahead and turn my captions off and we'll get started. In today's training, we're going to continue this series of FPDS topics that I'm choosing. And today I wanted to share 10 tactics, tips, process steps you can use within FPDS to be able to have the most success in there about managing the data, using the data, etc. FPDS, if you're not familiar with it, it's where you can find pretty much all the contract information over $10,000. So anything the government has bought that's over $10,000 that is not in the classified arena, think CIA, etc. That's all in FPDS. And so it's where you can find this data. You can access FPDS data from other tools like SAM or from USA Spending, et cetera. But FPDS still is the repository of the data. And so I'm a big fan of it. I like it because it's like a big, huge spreadsheet of data about what my buyer, the government, is buying. FPDS, the reason I say it is so powerful, again, is because it is the source of contract information. There's a lot of tools out there that help us analyze the information and to be able to do something with it, put it in pretty pictures, all those things that could be valuable to us. But information and decisions we make from that all come from the data. And FPDS is that source or the source of record for contract data. And one thing I wanted to share with you as I go in, I don't want you to just take today's training to learn about FPDS. It's not enough that you learn about FPDS, that you learn how valuable it is, that you learn about some of the ways I use it, and I recommend you use it. What I want you to get out of today's training, and really any of my trainings, but on FPDS in particular, I want you to master FPDS as a skill. The same way you should master how to send out emails so that they get opened by federal buyers, how to use Google to find the information you need in order to research customers, federal customers, to do more business. And so these are skill sets, and you don't want to just learn how to do something. That's the knowledge of FPDS, for example, learning all the ins and outs of it. I want you to master it, and that means follow along with me today and then keep practicing and using it every day, 15 minutes, 30 minutes a day, until at some point you realize it's like, wow, I own this tool. That tool works for me when I need it to. So that's mastering it. If you understand the value of FPDS, and we're going to be diving into it, put FPDS rocks in the chat. Let me know you're rocking and rolling with me, and we'll get going. If you don't know who I am, my name is Neil McDonald. I want to welcome you to the Federal Sales Training, where I provide tips for success in the federal market. I spent 20 years in the federal market as a small business owner after I got out of the Army. And since 2018, I've been teaching people like you that government contracting is not a secret. It's just a process. When we follow a process A to Z, we have repeatable, predictable results. And this is what I want for you in the things that you do within government contracting. A couple of messages I wanted to share here. First off, if you're not following me on LinkedIn, make sure you do. Constantly I'm putting out good information. Like all this week, I was putting out strategic documents coming out from different federal agencies related especially to AI. But I also put out something from one of the agencies on opportunities they had, so you can get access to that information. The other thing is subscribe to my newsletter, the Government Contracting Success Newsletter. As I have more tips, I share more step-by-step type tips in there. And I'm really going to double down going into 2026 saying, what do the new tools look like with all the changes within federal agencies and the way they interact with small businesses? I'll share a lot of that in the newsletter. Another thing that's really important is if you haven't already registered for our networking event next week, we have the GovCon Chamber of Commerce's holiday virtual networking event. So we'll be doing it on Zoom. You come in, we'll send you into rooms. You'll be able to network with people, come back out, go into different rooms. It's an excellent way for you to interact with people at the end of the year, celebrate the end of 25, prepare for 26. But it's also a great way for you to build your network going into 2026. My network is your network, and I want to be able to provide an event that allows you to grow your network, the people you know. We have well over 300 people, so I'd love to have you in there. If you're already coming, do me a favor, repost the event out onto LinkedIn so your network hears about the event. They come in, and if many of us are doing that, we all get to meet new people. and continue to grow our network. Last thing here, I wanted to thank Voltron for being our sponsor for our lives. Voltron is an AI proposal writing tool, and their focus is on the federal market. They help you write proposals in minutes instead of having drafts that take weeks, right, to get done. This is really spectacular. I really appreciate them supporting us. So throw a thank you, Voltron, into the chat. Let them know that we really appreciate their support of all this training that I'm able to bring back to you. The other thing is, if you're writing 4+ proposals a month, definitely check out Voltron as an option for you. They have a demo they can walk you through and see if the tool's right for you. Okay, I'm going to break my tips down. I figured I'd show you really quick, or tell you really quick, and then I'll go in and show you in FPDS how I do each one of these. But there's 10 tactics that I want to walk you through on FPDS and how they all working together can provide you a lot of information. You're able to make data-informed decisions on which contracts to pursue, which agencies, etc. And so if you're just happen to be listening and not looking at the slide at the moment, the 10 tips that I'm going to be talking about are 10 tactics within FPDS. First one is searching on keywords. Second one is searching with NAICS codes. Then going with that, PSC codes. And I know I'm saying redundant with the code at the end, but search a PSC, right? The fourth one is how to find more keywords based on the NAICS code and the PSC. And this is a really, PSC. This is a really helpful one because you start expanding your awareness of how does the government speak about what you buy. So instead of your own keywords that you're thinking, you can use the ones that they're actually using. Number 5, we're going to be looking at competitor wins. If we're searching on keyword or NAICS code and we find a bunch of opportunities and we see a competitor's won a great opportunity that we wish we won, then we want to go, well, what else are they winning, right? So I'm going to do that on number 5. Number 6, let's look at the set-asides. Which contracts out there have been set aside? If it was set aside before, maybe they'll set it aside again. Or I could look at it and say if an agency is setting things aside and I can see which agencies are really setting things aside, then maybe that's the one I target, the agency I'm targeting. Number 7, you can search on socioeconomic status of the contract holder, of the winner, whatever small business in particular has won it. One of my favorite reasons for searching socio status is not just small businesses, but finding contracts that were like, let's say they're $50 million and below, but they're being run by a woman-owned large business. I like to go in there and find that and get in early and try to shape the acquisition approach with the contracting shop, et cetera, and say, well, it was already being done by a woman business when he set aside a woman-owned small business. Like you're able to kind of play in that direction. And so there's so many ways to be able to use that data for whatever reason you're doing the searching. Number 8, I'm going to be talking about being able to use FPDS to search and understand the buyer themselves. So there's generally 3 types of offices you can pay attention to in data that's in DSBS or SAM or anywhere else, right? There's a funding office, there's a contracting office, so somebody who's paying for it, somebody who's doing the buying, that contracting officer, and then there's an administrative office who might be involved in there, but not touching either one of the first 2. So I'm going to show you how to look at that stuff and do searching. And then contracting officers. I'll show you how you can find contracting officers that are, if you're trying to build a list. A couple of days ago, I did training and I showed how I built a list of 300 people for one of our subscribers in Call Plan AI to go after and start calling to do outreach into the VA. And over 100 of them were contracting officers. So I want to show you that. And then I'll follow up with tip 10. And that's going to be about searching on KOs or COs. And CO stands for contracting officer, right? Except for in the military, that stands for commanding officer. So we say KO. But searching based on a KO, if I find an opportunity I like, I'm like, hey, that looks good. Well, let me go see what else that contracting officer has touched. Maybe they're touching more similar opportunities that I'd like to pursue, but I'm just not seeing them. So it's a tactic to use FPDS to look at the data more. Okay, so that's what we're going to dive into. Let me go ahead and share my screen and start doing this. I'm going to go back and forth. Let me find my slides really quick for myself. There's FPDS, and I'm going to be going down these 10 tips I just said. So the first one, searching on keywords. The keyword I want to use is staffing. When you search on a keyword, the field we're looking for, and let me just say a new search here. The field I'm looking for it's a description of requirements field. See right there? And that's the only field that has a unique thing in there. So let's go ahead and say staffing, which apparently I've done before. I'm going to say staffing, and I'm going to look for information that's out there, right? I can show you how to do more and more searches, but right now I'm just going to sort date signed in here. And now I'm looking at all the opportunities that are coming out. And for today's training, I'm going to stick with staffing. Think about, I want to do recruiting services for the government, staffing, staff augmentation, temporary support. Sometimes we call it administrative support services, and really that's just staffing as well at different points. But staffing could also be medical staffing and bringing in subject matter experts. I even used to do this at the PhD level. And so staffing basically means when the government really is seeing it as you're bringing a body in compared to we want a solution to be built. That's a very loose way of saying it. So I'm sticking with staffing for today's training. And in here, I can start looking at what's in here. So let's look at, and by the way, I have no problem showing you company names and things like that. I don't gray any of it out because it's all public information. So I'm just picking the first one. I don't pick the first one because it's negative 350. I'm like, let's go ahead and move on, right? I don't know what that is, but generally it means the money's going back into the government. But let's just pick this next one in December 11th. So that was very recently. So recently they updated this. This is just funding only, but I'm coming in here and I'm looking down and I'm seeing this. This is exactly what I'm looking for, right? Professional staffing services for OBO, whatever OBO is at the moment. And some of you might be faster than me to see what it was. What's the office? Overseas Building Operations. So that's OBO. So it's staffing or professional staffing support services for these guys. And you can see the difference here, right? This is coming out of well, I'll talk more about the contracting shop. Maybe I'll leave this one open because it's such a good example. But I just use a keyword, right? And this is a really helpful one. I'll do one more as I come down. These are zeros. So let me just pick this one here. So I'm looking for staffing. In this particular case, I might be looking in here because I'm trying to find contracts that are going to expire that I can start pursuing. Here's a contract. This one's perfect. $7 million contract. It was 5 years ago. The contract was awarded. It's expiring now. It looks like probably it's already being recompeted. So I'm a little bit late, but that's fine. And so if I come down here, I'm just looking again, staffing services for RPPR, whatever that is. Let's come back up here for Secretary of State. So in this particular case, I don't know what that is, but I bet you I could go to Google and learn it. But really quickly, that's my first tactic for you, right? Just search on description of requirements. This is keyword searching. Okay, I got to be careful. One of my weaknesses is I'll take one small thing and I'll keep going on, and I got to get through 10 of these for you. So the first way I searched for staffing was the keyword. The next way I'm going to search, which is perfect. See, 561320. That's the one I want to search as well. Let me see if I can just click on it. So perfect. So I'm going to get rid of, I don't know if you see this, but I clicked on 561320 and it came up with the NAICS code. I am going to sit there and get rid of this description for 1 second because what I want to show you is just the amount of opportunities. And actually, let me start filtering this search a little bit more. How about ultimate estimated completion date? I'm just going to say it is, let me just change this really quick to like January 2026 to 12/31/2026. So I'm going to go from 322,000 down to 2,600. Very reasonable. Okay, so now I'm just saying if I'm looking for things in the next fiscal year or next calendar year that are ending. So here I searched for NAICS codes, and I'm still looking for staffing, right? So here's one that's 221. I don't know if I did this one already. Did I do this one already? See, Sheldon? No, I didn't. Good. So this one is U.S. Trade Development Agency, and I think that's within the executive office of the president. But I'm going to come down here. So I searched on NAICS code. So I'm still trying to find staffing. Down here, I'm looking at financial analyst and accounting clerk support services. this is another way of looking at staffing. They aren't all just going to be, hey, I want you to give me 10, 10 staffing type things. And so you start figuring out how they're doing it. So here I can find opportunities based on NAICS code. You can filter this by using multiple filters together. But for today's training, I just want to show you tips on searching them separately. So I'm going to come down a little bit more. And actually, excuse me, I sorted this one by the size of the contract just now. So I'm going to click on this guy here. And now I'm looking at a $20 million staffing contract theoretically. And remember, I'm using that NAICS code, and the NAICS code is for temporary help services right there. So I'm going to keep coming down. Right here it says production support services for support the aircraft mechanics. That's a little bit more specialized, right? That's not the type of professional services I'm looking for, which is fine. But as I come through, I'm able to start finding more and more like it. Let me look at just one more. Right here, medical support assistant staff for multiple facilities, I'm assuming, across the Eastern Colorado healthcare system. I'm assuming this is the VA. I went so fast. There it is. So it's VISN 19 is what that stands for. And so there's 21 VISNs, or networks of hospitals. And this is exactly what I would be looking for if I'm trying to use it. So I used a NAICS code now. Let me go ahead and close these windows really quick. And so now my third one I want to search on is PSC. And the one I chose was PSC 3499, which is right here, which is perfect. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to get rid of this guy. Just make sure I'm good to go. Okay. So now I'm searching the same time frame. I'm searching on PSCs. And sometimes the government puts in these numbers. Here's why I don't particularly like this too much, but it does give us a way to look at stuff. The reason I don't like it is it's getting broader, right? PSC 34 or R499 gave me, I don't know, 20 or 30 times more than a NAICS code gave me. But I can look in here and see if it's aligning with what I want. So I'm going to sort by action obligation again. That's 192 million. So that's too big for me. So as a small business, I might look for something a lot smaller. So let's go ahead and pick this one. I don't know what it is. But I'm just trying to come in and go, can I find staffing? And I'm showing you another way of searching in here separate from others. And so here it's professional, scientific, technical support services. That's really generic, and that's probably tied to a really key requirements. I'm going to click on one more that's just looking at this. This is behavioral health information services. So you have to find out whether a PSC code works for you, right? But the reason that one's a little bit more challenging is because a lot more stuff gets dumped into it. But what I'm doing though is I'm trying to search on. Actually, I'm going to click on this one because it says legal support. No, I already looked at it. What I'm trying to do is to find different ways of looking at the data based on what the government is using to say they're buying what I'm selling. Right. And when I looked at those opportunities that were pure staffing, the PSC code they used was R499. All right, let me move to the next one. So the next one is one, let me see if I can back up here. That's still PSC. Trying to get back to that NAICS code I had. Nope. So let me just get rid of that, and I'll put in this NAICS code really quick, and I'm going to change it to 561320. Wait 1 second. 561320. If I do that, I'm back where I was at a minute ago. And the next tip I want to give you, number 4 here, is using a search on a NAICS code to find other keywords. So I'm searching for staffing, but what else are they writing down that I might be able to look at? So an example is, let me click on a couple of these really quick. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to sort this. I'm going to click on that guy. I'm going to click on, is this a different guy? This guy, and some random one down here. Okay, I just pulled up random ones really quick. And so what I'm trying to do, this tactic that I'm teaching you is I'm searching for staffing, but that keyword has limitations. They only use it so many times. But the government buys staffing support services using a NAICS code as well. So now when I search the NAICS code, I'm trying to go into this description field right here and say, well, what other ways are they basically writing staffing? So I might search for, here it says support services. That's too broad, but I might search for, let's say clerk support services as an example. If I did that, hold on one second. Let's just see for the fun of it, how much they got. I'm putting this keyword in if I do this correctly. So here it was just 96. There's not a ton of them that they have in there. So I can already tell it's not probably a big one, but let me just pull up one really quick and see what I get. So here's medical administration support services. Is that the same as what I just had? No. So here's financial analysis and accounting clerk support services. And because I saw that word, I'm like, oh, let me search for that as well. This begins to build my body of search terms. This next one, I'm going to scroll down here again. So remember, I'm searching the NAICS code, and I'm looking at the description based on the NAICS code to see what other keywords I can learn. This is a tactic. This one here, I can look at the description. It's just too convoluted for me. Mechanic, supervisor, I don't like it. So I'm just moving on, right? I just know I'm really looking for more administrative type support services. Here's the one that was medical support. Let me scroll down a little faster here. This is medical services for the migrants. And let me just jump a whole bunch down to like a 2 million. There's A team, and here's Jadega. So let me look at these two guys really quick. So here's a BPA for pharmacists and pharmacy tech. I might follow this BPA up to go see, is that basically pharmacy tech staffing services? I've heard from some of my customers that that's what they look at. And then this one here, and I know I'm moving pretty fast, right? But here, it's medical administrative services, right? So I might grab that, going back to this place, and I'm putting quotations around this. And in here, now I'm finding similar type thing, 31 opportunities. And if I look in here and I shape it, well, that's the one I already saw. Hold on one second. Let me come down here. A random one. So now I'm trying medical administrative services. Well, I just found 31 opportunities. And if that feels like what I might sell, then I can pursue it, right? Okay, so let me pause that. Again, these aren't full trainings. I might actually do full trainings on like each one of these separately. Here, I'm just trying to give you 10 ideas of ways you can look at the data. So I'm coming back to see where I'm at. I want to go to tip number 5, which is, searching the competitors' wins. And so let me just look at this opportunity really quick, see if I like it. So right here, no, that's the mechanic one. Loyal source government services. Okay, medical services for migrants. Let's say this is one I like. I can search on this company by taking their UEI like that and going back to FPDS. I can just put it right here in the beginning. There's many ways you could have got here. I'm just going to type it like this for 1 second. Actually, that's not going to work for me. Hold on 1 second. Sorry. Where are they? Loyal source. If I click on loyal source like this, now I can just see the wins that they have done. Let me close this stuff out. So I just clicked on their name. And when I clicked on their name, it shows me what else they're winning. And so now I can start, let me sort this by date signed. Now I can see what this company has won, and I can start looking back and go, here's some other contracts, and they're all kind of with the same place. And so I avoid the U.S. Custom Border Protection because I already looked at that. But here's one in the Army, right? Let me go look at the Army one and see. And I don't know what it's going to say. I'm looking at this live with you. But here I see optometry services. And this is basically medical staffing. Remember, I'm still just trying to pull that in. And when I look at optometry services, 241,000, I can start figuring that out, right? One single provider is going to be at that level. So these services are pretty interesting, but I can start pursuing more and more opportunities by looking at a competitor. Here's another one. These are all Army. So it looks like these guys have won 2 contracts. Sometimes you can go in and you can find competitors have won a lot more. But that's one tip is let me next code this and get rid of that. Okay, that's one more, right? It allows me to look in FPDS and follow my competitor through and see what they have won. Number 6, I can search set aside or socioeconomic. And so if I get rid of this, let's say I'm just trying to find, I'm going to add in a new field here. And this one is set aside. No, what is it called? It's type set aside. Hey, type of set aside here. And let's say I'm looking for 8A. Let me see if I can do sole source. Okay, hold on. Back this up, 8A. So if I do 8A like that, and I come in and I look, I'm just trying to remind myself the type of set aside really quick. Hold on one second. So this is 8A competed. And if I'm looking for opportunities that were set aside to 8A, now, and did I get rid of my dates? No, estimated completion next year. So now I'm looking at 4,000 contracts that the estimated completion date is next year, right? 2026. And that were tied to 8A small businesses. This is huge. And you can start narrowing it down and saying just within HHS, right? Here's 276 opportunities that were at HHS. You can start figuring it out and filtering it more and more. But if that's the type of search you're looking for, forget about staffing for 1 second. You're just saying, I want to pursue every 8A opportunity I can at HHS. That's how we did it, right? We set up type of set aside is 8A. All right, that was set aside for, so that was set aside for businesses that are, for contracts that are set aside to 8A. If I get rid of those two really quick, now I can come in and say, show me socioeconomic. This is another field. And I know I'm blowing through fast. The idea is you're going to go learn on your own. Socioeconomic indicators. This one here, if I do 8A, so now if I'm looking at this and I'm looking at contracts that are expiring next year, I'm just leaving that there. And I'm saying that are won by 8A small businesses. Well, there's 53,000. And by the way, that doesn't mean there's 53,000 entries, because there could be option years that are all totally ending up at the end of their contract next year. But still, it's thousands and thousands of contracts in there. So I begin to use that as a way to then add more filters to find the work that's aligned to me. But the other thing it allows me to do, if you look on the left-hand side, I can figure out where are 8A is having the most success. If I zoom in here, you can see Department of Army dwarfs everybody else. 8A businesses, one way or another, are in there succeeding. And then you can see where it significantly drops once you get out of the DoD, right? The State Department was pretty huge for 8As, but you know they're doing less well as an agency now. Okay, so that was number 7. Number 8 is the contracting office. And let me just pull one up really quick. I know my time is incredibly tight here, but contracting office, right? I can come in here and look at the contracting office ID, and let's just say contracting office agency name. I'm going to grab the code instead, right? If I come back and I say, I want to find everything at APHIS, then I can search on that field. And that field, again, if you just come over here, you add a search and you say contracting agency ID, and I put this in and I search. And now I'm looking at 84 opportunities that are just within that agency. And the last one I want to show you is when you're inside and you're looking at an opportunity, you can find the KO, like this person, Bonnie Simpson, right? I can find that person. I can go, well, what else are they buying? And if I just go like this and come back out to this main search and hit the email in there, well, now I'm looking at the 1,000 contracts that Bonnie has touched over the years. And I'm able to sit there and move forward on them. I know this is a really rapid way of going forward. You can watch the replay. What I was trying to share with you, though, is just 10 different tips. And there's many, many more that you can go into on how you can use FPDS for your success out there. Here's the 3 things I want you to remember from today's training, because it is a lot, and it's hard to remember everything in the middle. But the 3 things I really want you to remember is that FPDS is the source of contract data. That's where you go to learn who the buyer is, what they're buying, and who has won what you wish you had won. The second thing is master FPDS as a skill, not as a topic that you're learning, right? Really understand the skill. And then the third one is find the best opportunities for you. By doing those 10 tips that I showed you, you can narrow down everything that's in FPDS to the right opportunities you should be pursuing in 2026. If you found value in today's training, do me a favor, repost it out on LinkedIn. Don't forget to register for the upcoming networking event on Wednesday, the 17th. I will see you then. Remember, government contracting, it's not a secret, it's just a process.